Hi boys and girls, how you doing today? I wanted to read a book today that I've read before. It's been a long time. It's probably been over 10 years since I read this book, maybe even 20. This is called The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses by Paul Goble. And you can see it has the Caldecott medal. So a Caldecott medal is for a book that gets recognition for its artwork, so the illustrations. So if you read other Paul Goble books, you'll see the same kinds of ways that he draws. So this is called The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses. You can see where she lives. You can see a horse. You can see a girl here. On the back, The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses. Sometimes it's nice to read the blurb. There was a girl in a village who loved horses. She led the horses to drink at the river. She spoke softly and they followed. People noticed that she understood horses in a special way. And so begins the story of a young Native American girl devoted to her tribe's horses. So this talks about that. And you can see from Paul Goble, award-winning author of many exceptional books for children, his retellings of Native American legends include, so you could read from him, Buffalo Woman, The Gift of the Sacred Dog, The Great Race, and Star Boy are also available. So I've read The Gift of the Sacred Dog, and I've read Star Boy before, and I've read this book, but I haven't read these other ones. Maybe I'll look and see if they're in our library. What happens sometimes, boys and girls, is you find an author that you read one of their books and you really like it. So sometimes it's nice to go find other books from that same author. So this author, his name is Paul Goble. The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses. And again, these books are from our library. Ooh, look at that page. That's the title page. That looks cool. The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses. Actually, this is the title page here. Wow. It shows you the books also by the author. There's even more than that showed on the back. Wow, look at all these books he's written. That's a lot of books. So the story and the illustrations are by Paul Goble. And look, this is the dedication page. And look, it's for Janet, the book is. Where do you think the story takes place? What do you notice? I mean, I noticed the horses and the girl. Do you notice the plants, what they look like? Do you know what kind of plants those are? Those are called cacti or cactus. Where do they grow, I wonder? Where do you think the story takes place? Whoa. The people were always moving from place to place, following the herds of buffalo. They had many horses to carry the teepees and all their belongings. They trained their fastest horses to hunt the buffalo. Wow. Look at all the action in this picture. There was a girl in the village who loved horses. She would often get up at daybreak when the birds were singing about the rising sun. She led the horses to drink at the river. She spoke softly, and they followed. People noticed that she understood horses in a special way. She knew which grass they liked best and where to find them shelter from the winter blizzards. If a horse was hurt, she looked after it. Every day, when she had helped her mother carry water and collect firewood, she would run off to be with the horses. She stayed with them in the meadows, but was careful never to go beyond sight of home. One hot day, when the sun was overhead, she felt sleepy. She spread her blanket and lay down. It was nice to hear the horses eating and moving slowly among the flowers. Soon she fell asleep. A faint rumble of distant thunder did not awaken her. Angry clouds began to roll out across the sky, with lightning flashing in the darkness beneath. But the fresh breeze and scent of rain made her sleep soundly. You can see her sleeping over here. Suddenly there was a flash of lightning, a crash and rumbling which shook the earth. The girl leapt to her feet in fright. Everything was awake. Horses were rearing up their hind legs and snorting in terror. She grabbed a horse's mane and jumped on its back. In an instant, the herd was galloping away like the wind. She called to the horses to stop, but her voice was lost in the thunder. Nothing could stop them. She hugged her horse's neck with her fingers twisted into his mane. She clung on, afraid of falling under the drumming hooves. Wow, look at all of the horses and even the antelope running and the birds flying off. The horses galloped faster and faster, pursued by the thunder and lightning. They swept like a brown flood across hills and through valleys. Fear drove them on, leaving their familiar grazing grounds far behind. At last the storm disappeared over the horizon. The tired horses slowed and then stopped and rested. Stars came out and the moon shone over hills the girl had never seen before. So let me say that again. At last the storm disappeared over the horizon. The tired horses slowed and then stopped and rested. Stars came out and the moon shone over hills the girl had never seen before. She knew they were lost. Wow. Wonder what she's going to do. Next morning she awakened to a loud neighing. A beautiful spotted stallion was prancing to and fro in front of her, stamping his hooves and shaking his mane. He was strong and proud and more handsome than any horse she had ever dreamed of. He told her that he was the leader of all the wild horses who roam the hills. He welcomed her to live with them. She was glad, and all of her horses lifted their heads and neighed joyfully, happy to be free with the wild horses. The people searched everywhere for the girl and the vanished horses, but they were nowhere to be found. But a year later, wow, she was gone for a year. A year later, 2 hunters rode into the hills where the wild horses lived. When they climbed a hill and looked over the top, they saw the wild horses led by the beautiful spotted stallion. Beside him rode the girl leading a colt. They called out to her. She waved back, but the stallion quickly drove her away with all his horses. The hunters galloped home and told what they had seen. The men mounted their fastest horses and set out at once. It was a long chase. The stallion defended the girl and the colt. He circled round and round them so that the riders could not get near. They tried to catch him with ropes, but he dodged them. He had no fear. His eyes shone like cold stars. He snorted and his hoofs struck as fast as lightning. The riders admired his courage. They might never have caught the girl, except her horse stumbled and she fell. She was glad to see her parents, and they thought she would be happy to be home again. But they soon saw that she was sad, and she missed the colt and the wild horses. Each evening as the sun went down, people would hear the stallion neighing sadly from the hilltop above the village, calling for her to come back. The days passed. Her parents knew the girl was lonely. She became ill and the doctors could do nothing to help her. They asked what could make her well again. "I love to run with the wild horses," she answered. "They are my relatives. If you let me go back to them, I shall be happy forevermore." What do you think will happen? She wants to go back with the wild horses over here, right? And down in her community, her family and everyone wants her there, but she seems sad and lonely. Wonder what's going to happen. Her parents loved her, and agreed that she should go back to live with the wild horses. They gave her a beautiful dress and the best horse in the village to ride. The spotted stallion led his wild horses down from the hills. The people gave them fine things to wear, colorful blankets and decorated saddles. They painted designs on their bodies and tied eagle feathers and ribbons to their manes and tails. In return, the girl gave the colt to her parents. Everyone was joyful. Once again, the girl rode beside the spotted stallion. They were proud and happy together, but she did not forget her people. Each year, she would come back, and she always brought her parents a colt. Oh, look at that. So like in the spring, you can tell this is in the spring. You got butterflies, and these are called lupins, these flowers in the spring. And look, there's a baby buffalo or bison, American bison, baby one, a calf. And look, a baby horse is called a colt. So she'd bring back a colt that she would bring to her parents. And then one year, she did not return and was never seen again. But when hunters next saw the wild horses there gallop beside the mighty stallion, a beautiful mare with a mane and tail floating like wispy clouds about her, they said the girl had surely become one of the wild horses at last. Today, we are still glad to remember that we have relatives among the horse people, and it gives us joy to see the wild horses running free. Our thoughts fly with them. And that's the end of the story. Look, on the end, it's kind of cool. They've got a couple of songs. This one's a Navajo song about his horse, a Navajo's song. So this is a song right here, just this part. It's a Navajo song. Navajo live in like northern Arizona area. And so this is a song. My horse has a hoof like striped agate. His fetlock is like a fine eagle plume. His eggs, let me start over. My horse has a hoof like striped agate. Agate, I think it's agate. See, sometimes we make mistakes. Okay, this is a Navajo song about his horse. My horse has a hoof like striped agate. His fetlock is like a fine eagle plume. His legs are like quick lightning. My horse's body is like an eagle-plumed arrow. My horse has a tail like a trailing black cloud. His mane is made of short rainbows. My horse's ears are made of round corn. My horse's eyes are made of big stars. My horse's teeth are made of white shell. The long rainbow is in his mouth for a bridle, and with it I guide him. And then the second song is from Black Elk. This is a person's name, Black Elk, and they're from the Oglala Sioux. Had a dream in which he heard a stallion sing this song. So this is a song from a stallion, and it's from Black Elk, who's an Oglala Sioux tribe. My horses prancing, they are coming. My horses neighing, they are coming. Prancing, they are coming. All over the universe they come. They will dance. May you behold them. A horse nation, they will dance. May you behold them. So those are some poems about horses. Do you love horses? Do you like horses? This is called The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses. Again, it's by Paul Goble. I hope you'll check this out from our library and maybe some of Paul Goble's other stories that he has. Hope you enjoyed the reading. What are you reading today? Why don't you share that with us? We'd love to hear what you're reading. It's important to read every day. I hope you love this story, The Girl Who Loved Wild Horses.